Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Widow Fishing. I'm Bryce. I hope everyone had a great holiday or Christmas, whatever you celebrate. But it's time to get back to work, and so we've got 5 more viewer submitted questions for you. So stick around and see what they are. Hey, our first question for the day is, how can I change my career to fishing? That is a very interesting question that can have a wide range of options. If you are speaking of fishing like working on a fishing boat where you go out and you do large commercial operations, I can't tell you, I have no clue. As far as if you want to work on a charter boat, if it was your boat, then you could get your own captain's license, go through the certain requirements that are required, either for inshore or offshore, and make sure you have a boat and go about it that way, just like any other business, or find somebody who already runs a charter and needs another deckhand. But if you're speaking more in the line of what I do as far as fishing, whether it's tournaments or just in the fishing industry in general, tournaments are fairly easy to get into, but the circumstances which allow you to do that might be different just depending upon your individual financial and family obligations. But I do have a couple videos which I will link down in the description below that talks about how to become a tournament angler. You can also get into the industry or business side of it, working at a fishing shop, a local tackle shop, or any kind of sporting goods store, or actually working directly for some of the fishing manufacturers. So it's all really about what you want to do. There's tons of opportunities within the fishing industry. Our second question is, what is your recommendation for batteries for your kayak? Again, this question is very wide open. It really depends on what kind of batteries you're looking for and what you're looking to power. When it comes to actual batteries, I recommend everybody always go with the lithium ion phosphate batteries. If you go with an AGM or a gas mat battery or lead acid, they're going to be extremely large and extremely heavy, and they're not going to provide the 100% power that you would want. If you're looking just to power a graph, say like a Garmin 93 SV, that only draws 1 amp out, or 1 amp. So you could, if you're going like on an all-day fishing trip, you can just get a 10 amp battery and run that all day for about 10 hours. But if you're looking to do, Newport NK180s or anything of that sort, or more graphs, then you really have to look at what kind of battery power you're going to need. When it comes to 12-volt batteries, I think there are tons of options out there. I currently run in my kayak, I run Dakota lithiums, as well as I run a Ionic Blue battery, which I believe is great because it's got Bluetooth, 100% worth it. When it comes to running my NK180, I actually use a Bienio 24-volt battery, and I haven't had any problems with them and can wholeheartedly recommend them. 36 battery for kayak, I couldn't tell you. I don't run anything that requires that, like the NK300. I don't have that. I'm not sure I'm going to get it, but 36-volt batteries I don't really have too much experience with. So those would be my 2 recommendations. Moving on to the next question, it says, how important is instant reverse on a pedal kayak when fishing structure? I have no clue what instant reverse is. It might be something in the industry or the pedal kayak scene that I am just unaware of. I'm a Hobie guy, so previously to moving into the 360, I was having to pull the handle to go in reverse. And if we're talking, versus like one of the bicycle pedal drives, I believe like Old Town might use one of those to where you can just stop and then do your feet backwards to go in reverse. When it comes to that, if that is in fact what is being asked, I would say that does not matter at all. I can just as fast, if I was still using the Mirage Drive 180, I could just as fast stop, pull the reverse lever, and then start reversing. And with the 360, the Hobie 360, I can turn all the way around pretty quickly. So as far as actually having that, I don't believe that is going to make a difference in the speed that you turn around. But when it comes to fishing structure, using either your side scan or you're using your traditional sonar or clear view or whatever your brand calls it, I don't necessarily believe that that's going to be really a factor at all. Because at least the way that I do, when I am looking for structure or fish holding on the bottom or anywhere where I'm fishing, I will go over it with my kayak and go somewhere else, check out that area, and then I will come back. That gives the fish a little time to calm down so they're not spooked, because a lot of times if they're spooked and you sit on right on top of them, if you just showing up, you're not going to get any bites, versus if you just go out of the area for 10-15 minutes and then come back. So in that sense, I don't think that having instant reverse, if that's what we're going to call it, matters whatsoever. Moving on to our next question. It says, what rod should I pair with a Curado DC? Shimano, I've talked about Shimano Curado DC hundreds of times. I love the Shimano Curado series. The DC I love, but I don't necessarily believe that everybody needs a DC. Once you get used to using a bait caster, then a DC, unless you're fishing in heavy wind, just really becomes a novelty item. Unless, of course, you love that amazing sound that it makes, and that's why I primarily use mine. I do pull it out in windy days, but it really depends on what you're going to be fishing for and what the gear ratio is of the particular reel you have. Now, the Shimano Curado DC that I have mine set up for crankbait fishing. So the rod that I use is not necessarily going to be the rod that you would want to use. And I use a custom built rod that I made for myself, that I've put on there. It's a 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod that I use for my crankbaits and jerkbaits. That's just what I find to be the most effective for me. But it might be different for you. If you're looking for a brand to start in, it never hurts to actually go with the manufacturer that has made your reel. So Shimano does have a Curado rod. It's a little bit expensive, but it'll pair really well with that reel. The next question and final question that we have is, what pushes bass on and off of the bank? So there are a number of factors that can push bass up the bank and push them off of the bank to offshore structure. The primary one that I believe, and there might be up for debate, but the primary one I believe is going to be the water temperature. When it gets colder, the bass are going to move off mostly. It really just depends on the part of the country that you live in. They're basically going to find the temperature that's right for them, that is present within that water. You have to take into account the thermocline. And then the second thing that's going to really affect that, the bass moving, is the bait fish. So are the bait fish up in the shallows? Are they setting up offshore? The bass will follow the temperature and the bait. And then you can start looking into structure and cover and those things that I think play secondary to those main factors. So we have come to the end of our questions for this week. We are getting really close to having 1,000 subscribers. I think I might have saw it one time over the holiday weekend, but it dropped back down below before I did this video. So once we get up to 1,000 subscribers, we actually have another giveaway that we're going to be doing. So stick around, subscribe, and you'll get those details for that. So that's all for now. Catch you next time.